First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. And here the Apostle Paul addresses the use, and importance of spiritual gifts, but also the understanding of not valuing, individuals more or less based on whatever gift or role that they've been given in the body of Yahweh Shai. Because, regardless of what position you're in, whether you're likened onto the feet or the hands, or even the uncomely parts, as the Apostle Paul mentions, the Lord, you're still needful for the body, or else the body wouldn't be the body, right? And it would be lacking. And he's saying this because you had some that would esteem others higher and disregard others because they may not have had, the same spiritual gifts. But the Apostle Paul here basically puts it in perspective. Okay. So, so far as we've been going through the book of First Corinthians, you can see, some of, or really a lot of the faults that were highlighted in the church of Corinth. But these aren't exclusive to just those that were in Corinth, right? These are things that, even in today's time, we can learn a lot from. And that's why it's very important that the Lord had even them have these faults so they could be addressed. So should they be needed for an example in our time, you can look back and see, okay, this is how they were advised to handle this kind of situation. And we see those situations all the time now. But now we know, we have better insight into how to properly handle them, given, these accounts here. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away onto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. So in past times, when he says Gentiles, he doesn't mean like you were of another nation. He's saying you were living like Gentiles. You were in a Gentile state of mind, right? You lived like pagans and carried away onto these dumb idols, meaning you were in your mind, you were deceived. You were carried away in your mind to serving these idols that can't speak, even as you were led, right? Because that's what you were led to believe was true until Yahweh Shai was introduced to you. Verse 3, wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of God calleth Yahweh Shai accursed, and that no man can say that Yahweh Shai is the Lord, but by the Holy Spirit. And so, as he mentions here, which is the case, right? If you're a true believer in Yahweh Shai, you cannot, what did Yahweh Shai say? That no man that, serveth me can lightly speak evil of me? Let's see if I can find that. Because the Spirit won't allow you to. It's like if you were to ask, like, yo, what if the elect did this, or what if the elect did that, or what if somebody of the elect went and took the sea? If they can't, they won't. The Spirit won't allow them to, because if they have the Holy Spirit within them, there are certain things that you won't be able to do. So this is Mark 9 and 39. But Yahweh Shai said, this was when the disciples said they forbade somebody who was, I think he was teaching in the Lord's name, because he wasn't with them. And Yahweh Shai's response was, but Yahweh Shai said, forbid him not, for there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name that can lightly speak evil of me. Because if you are doing a miracle in the name of Yahweh Shai, then the Holy Spirit has to be dealing with you, or has to be on you to do that. And so if that Spirit is on you, then like the Apostle Paul mentioned here, you won't be able to call Yahweh Shai accursed, right? And if you confess that Yahweh Shai is Lord, that it's by the Spirit that you do that. That's why the scriptures also say, try the spirits by the spirits, whether they be the children of God. So, and this was actually also used during the persecution of the Christians against some of the believers, because they would ask them to openly deny or openly say certain things. And when they couldn't, because this was like a blasphemy of the Lord, when they couldn't do that, they would use that as a snare to say, see, you know, we found one of these believers here. Verse 4, now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. So of the gifts of the Spirit, there are many, but it's all from the same Spirit. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. Right. So there are different offices in this ministry, but we all serve the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, different kinds of works, but it is the same God which worketh all in all. Right. It's still, at the end of the day, one God, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And even though there are different positions, brothers have different gifts and, different labors, like the Apostle Paul was an apostle to the Gentiles, quote unquote Gentiles, and the Apostle Peter was an apostle to the circumcision. But these were all still working. The Lord, the one God, was still working through them all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. Okay, and let's read that here as well. The NLT. A spiritual gift is given to each of us so we can help each other. Right? When you go into that word withal, it's for the benefit of all. For to one is given the spirit of the word, the word of wisdom, or for to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit. And as similar in nature as they may be, there's still a distinction between wisdom and knowledge, right? Knowledge is to know things, right? You have information. And oftentimes wisdom can be derived from knowledge, but wisdom, it's mainly in how you apply that knowledge, right? So one may be better suited at giving sound advice through wisdom, right? How to better maneuver in a certain situation, things to do, things not to do. Okay. That can be better for you in your situation. Like when you read the book of Ecclesiasticus or the book of Sirach, it's filled with wisdom and knowledge, but a lot of it goes into things you should and should not do and why, right? And how to come up, in the spirit of the Lord and what things to look out for. These things are wisdom because you can apply them and they can guide you through life. And then you have some that are, more knowledge based and they know a lot of things, and you can ask them certain questions and maybe you don't understand something and they can explain it to you and break it down and tie this point here and so on. But they may know a lot of things, but they may not be an expert at giving maybe sound advice, or as, I wouldn't even say sound advice, as good of an advice as maybe one who's a great man of wisdom. So there's still like a slight distinction between the two, but Paul here is just making the point that in the difference of the spiritual gifts that are given, it's still from the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. Now, Paul is not saying here these are exclusive, because obviously the one that was given wisdom and the one that was given knowledge, they were both still given faith. So what does he mean to another faith by the same Spirit? Meaning there's some brothers who are given, through the Spirit, their spiritual gift is a greater level of faith. And that's needed. You may have somebody that's more knowledgeable, right? The Spirit works on their minds differently so they can learn and know a lot of things, but their faith might not be as great as somebody who the Spirit, puts that upon. And that person with great faith might not be as knowledgeable as the next brother. But each is still necessary, right? The one with more faith can exhort, and encourage the rest, right? And the Lord just has a balance. To another, the gifts of healing by the same Spirit. And in our time, healing looks a little different now, but back then they were actually physically healing people through the Holy Spirit. Peter did it, Paul did it, the apostles did it when they were disciples, and obviously also as apostles. Yahweh Shai did it. It's all through the same Holy Spirit. To another, the working of miracles. To another, prophecy. And yeah, healing is a miracle, but there are also different kinds of miracles. And to another, prophecy. To another, discerning of spirits. And you have, general prophecy, right, on the scale of like what we have now. Like we all know the prophecies here, but for example, Agabus, right, when you read in the book of Acts, he prophesied of a dearth that was to come. That was something that was revealed to him, right? So there are some who the Lord might foreshow or foretell certain things in the immediate future that are about to happen and reveal it to said individuals, and they'll prophesy about it, or they'll let you know, speaking divinely through the Spirit. So there may be a brother that's more prone to receiving certain revelations of things to come, things to happen. To another, discerning of spirits, right? So there's some who are better suited at being able to, read spirits. Immediately they can see from a mile away if this person is sincere, if this person is not. They have those spiritual antennas. To another, diverse kinds of tongues. Some the spirit jumps on and they're able to speak different languages. To another, the interpretation of tongues, right? Some are able to do the interpretation of those, and more than likely these two went hand in hand. If you could speak different languages, then you would be able to interpret as well. But all these worketh that one and the self same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. See, so all this is still done or worked with or by the same Spirit, and these gifts are given to every man according to the will of the Lord. For as the body is one, and hath many members, and all the members of that one body being many are one body, so also is Hamashiach. Right. So when you have your body, you have fingers, arms, legs, kneecaps, shins, spine. You have different body parts, but they're all still joined to the one body. It's still one. It's only one body, different body parts. Right. So here, what the Apostle Paul is going to do is he's going to use the example of the body and the different body parts and the relationship one to another to expound on his point of likening us, each and every one of us. Well, here when he's speaking to the believers in the church of Corinth, each and every one of them to being different body parts in the body of Yahushua, and how they shouldn't look down on another based on what position they're in or what gift they're given. Verse 13, for by one Spirit we are all baptized into one body. It's the same Spirit of Yahushua. Whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, right? Whether you're a slave, a servant, or you're a free man, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit, right? And that's another way of saying that we've been initiated right into the Spirit of Yahushua, regardless of your status or rank or position or background. For the body is not one member, but many, right? Your body is not just one body part. What makes the body a body is that it has multiple members or many body parts. If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? No, it's still a part of the body. And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? Once again, rhetorical question. It's still of the body. So just because you as an individual may not be in a certain position as another brother, or may not have the same gift as another because your role is different, does that make you not of the body? No. Does that make you irrelevant? No. Because the foot is needed to walk for balance. It's not the hand. Its job is not to reach and hold things like the hand does, but the hand can do what the foot does. So all parts are still needed. If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? See? And if the if the whole were hearing, where were the smelling? And that's the point. The Apostle Paul is saying the diversity of gifts, the diversity of offices, the diversity of roles is needed, just like different members of a body. But now God hath set the members, every one of them, in the body as it hath pleased him. So he designed the eyes, the nose, the ears, the lips, the hands, the chest hairs. That's a joke. But all of these as it pleased him, because he structured it in a way where it's every single part is beneficial and it has a role to play. And if they were all Salakia, and if they were all one member, where were the body? Once again, if everything about you was just one, if you were just a big ass toe or just a big ear, then where's the actual body? So all the members cannot be one. You can't just be a body of ears. Your whole head is an ear, your arms are ears, your legs are ears. That's not a body. But now are they many members, yet but one body. And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Right. So the eye can't look down at the hand and say you're irrelevant and you're not needed here because you're not an eye. The head can't say that to the feet. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary. Right. And this is the parts that may not be used as often, may not be out in the open. They're necessary, right? They're needed. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor. And our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. And when he says less honorable, it's more so like the parts of the body, like when you deal with the actual physical body, the parts of the body that are not like publicly celebrated, so to speak, right? Or held, like used as, publicly as the other parts. And when it deals with the uncomely parts, that's like the parts that you wouldn't display, like you wouldn't display those out in public, right? But guess what? The Most High designed the body so that even the most vulnerable parts, especially, or the unseen parts, receive extra care. Okay? And so likewise, applying it to the members of the church, because we're all many members in the body of Yahweh Shai, just because you may not be on the forefront doesn't make you any less important. For our comely parts have no need, right? The parts of you that are, more readily used have no need, but that they don't need that extra care. But God hath tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked. So the parts of your body, like you take different precaution for different parts of your body. If you're a man, your private area is very private. You're not gonna. It's not as exposed as your hands. Your hands, you are more careful with your secrets than you are with your hands, right? You may grab this here. If you're about to fall down, you brace it with your hands. Who have you ever seen about to fall down, or something is about to hit them, and instead of putting their hands up, they fling their hands back, put their legs back, and just reach forward, like a thrusting of the air to shield themselves with their privates. Nobody does that. Okay, that's the part you try to protect that's the part you try to protect the most. There's extra care, even though it's not as, you don't use it more than you use your hands. Okay, but that's just an example. Verse verse 25, that there should be no schism in the body, but that and the schism is like divisions, dissension, but that the members should have the same care one for another, right? Having realized and understood that they all are needed, right? It's all necessary. It's all needed. If the head was to say to the feet, I don't need you, and your feet went and got amputated, you'd see just how hard life would be without having feet. Okay? It isn't until you lose a body part that you realize just how important it actually is. Even the things you don't see, your what are those called? Let's just say your organs, right? The things inside of your body, your kidney, your liver, like these things are very important, but you don't really think about them till you lose one. And then you're like, damn, like, yo, this is crazy. Like, life is hard. Now you see how important these things are. So, like the Apostle Paul is saying here, the Lord did this so that there's no division in the body, because, as it says, the members should have the care one for another, the same care, knowing that each part is needed. And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it. Or one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it. Right? So likewise with the believers, if one suffers, all is like all suffer. If one is honored, it's like all is honored. That's the unity of being in one body. If you stub your toe, you gonna feel that pain, right? Then you as the individual who owns the body, you're gonna feel that pain. If you have a paper cut on your fingertip, you're gonna feel that pain. It doesn't matter which part of your body, gets hurt, you're gonna feel it as a whole. Verse 27, now ye are the body of Hamashiach and members in particular. See, so he used that example, and at the end, he ties it in that this is like a representation of you. And God hath set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles. So these sort of line up with the gifts, right? These are different roles or different offices. And the apostles are like they're prophets as well, but they are on a higher level, right? Like even today, we're all prophets, but the apostles are higher on a higher level. Okay. So and what I mean by that is like the Lord put them in that position, right? So they have, a greater spiritual understanding of certain matters, than say somebody that's younger in the faith. So they're more established in the spirit because the Most High put them there, gave them that experience, and set them up like that. Same thing back then, right? So you had the apostles, which is the higher office than that of a prophet, but you also had the prophets and then teachers. And it's not, once again, these are not mutually exclusive. It's not like if you're a prophet, you can't teach, but what your office is based on the spirit or the gift that the spirit has given you, right? If one was given the gift of healing, why put him in the office of I don't know, somebody who is to speak diverse tongues? You put them in the office that the spirit has showed you that they specialize in. And after that, miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, governments, diversities of tongues. I'll read this in the NLT as well. It says, here are some of the parts God has appointed for the church. First are apostles, second are prophets, third are teachers, then those who do miracles, those who have the gift of healing, those who can help others, those who have the gift of leadership, those who speak in unknown tongues or languages. That's when it says governments, those that have the gift of leadership. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues, but do all interpret? No, not because it's a diversity of gifts, it's a diversity of offices. But covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet I shew unto you a more excellent way. It says here, so you should earnestly desire the most helpful gifts. But now let me show you a way of life that is best of all. And then he goes on to explain some more on that, right, as we keep going. And that brings us to the end of the book of 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.